Hello, I'm Yogesh Mudras, Managing Director, Inform Markets in India. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you today. It's a great pleasure for me to have Mr. Chiranjeev Saluja, Managing Director, Premier Energies. It is a part of our Super September Leadership Series that we are having him here today. Thank you so much for being with us for this part, Mr. Saluja. As
Thank
you,
you.
as you know, Info Market in India has kickstarted its one of its kind Super September virtual B2B celebrations. It is a powerful array of 6 digital expos in 6 different verticals in the month of September 2020. We just finished with our first one, which was for the renewable energy sector in this month of September. Of course, we've been doing a lot more things before this, but this is a month where we are doing a special initiative across multiple verticals. So this, our endeavor is to help communities and business overcome the limitations of lockdown, achieve business goals, and provide a powerful edge as the economy readies itself to get back on track. So as a part of the Super September virtual B2B celebrations, we are bringing this exclusive leadership interaction series. One of its one-on-one interactions, which will be inviting key thought leaders across various industries and have strategic discussion with us to share their thoughts, share their insights about how the industry is going and where we see the industry going, and there's some of their leadership thought processes. So, just to introduce Mr. Saluja, who has joined us here today, he heads Premier Energies, a pioneer in solar PV module and cell manufacturing industry in India, with over 25 years of technical expertise and business experience. Mr. Saluja is founder and managing director of Premier Energies. He is also one of India's 100 most influential solar business leaders. He's a visionary himself who has transformed the company from just a solar enterprise to a completely renewable energy solutions provider. Steering his company, which it started with a 5 megawatt production, they have built in 1995. They have built a capacity now of 500 megawatts by 2018, and now he is in fact leading Premier Energies growth by expanding the production capacity to 750 megawatts solar cells and 1 gigawatt solar panels. Mr. Saluja is a dynamic business icon. He is also founding member of Premier Solar Power Tech, and he is also serving or as director on board of over 10 companies in solar manufacturing in the IPP space, and also on board of All India Solar Industries Association. He is also a member of Governing Council of Indian Solar Manufacturers Association. So he wears multiple hats, and great to have him here today, this morning, to interact with us and share his thoughts. As an industry leader with more than 2 decades of experience, he is adept in active client engagement and executing large projects. So I think with this brief introduction, I want to start off with Mr. Saluja. First of all, sir, congratulations, Mr. Saluja. Congratulations on Silver Jubilee anniversary of your organization. Can you run us past some of the significant achievements and milestones for Premier Energies, alongside with the growth and positioning of the renewable energy space in India?
Yeah, thank you, Yogesh. Thank you for this interaction plan today and the introduction of our company. Yeah, so I mean, as you said, we are celebrating our 25th year this year in the renewable energy space. And as a company, we started off in 1995. So it's been a great journey to, run this company from a small 3 megawatt manufacturing line to a 500 megawatt line today. And our association with REI also goes back to over 10 years. So, we were associated with REI for each year, the expos which we had. And yeah, as a company, I mean, we are growing aggressively now since the last 3 years. And the journey in Premier has been quite significant in terms of the way the Indian industry developed. I mean, way back in 1995, we had a very small industry selling solar lanterns and solar streetlights. It was a different kind of passion then, when we used to supply these lanterns or streetlights to villages which had never seen electricity in their lifetime. To look at these fruit cart vendors using our solar streetlights. And then it went on in 2001 when we expanded into from the 5 megawatt line to a 75 megawatt line, and then onwards to getting into EPC business in 2010, where the first PPAs were signed for selling power to the electricity grid. So we have seen tariffs from 18 rupees then to falling to 2.5 rupees now. So, and then we expanded again in 2017 to reach a 500 megawatt capacity, And now in 2020, we are looking at taking this to a 750 megawatt expansion, which will take us to a 1.25 gigawatt capacity in terms of the manufacturing facility. Yeah, over to you, Yogesh.
So great to hear the growth story. I think your growth story has been probably coinciding with the growth story of the Indian solar sector. I think great to see. I think the way Premier Energies. I think previously Premier Solar. Now you change it to Energies because your scope has widened. In fact, you're doing a lot more things in the solar sector. So my next question to you is: given the global economic and environmental and public health scenario, this pandemic which has caused us, and then every industry, every geography has been impacted by this. So what are your thoughts on this for the renewable energy industry? What the industry should focus on? How should industry leverage this? And what are some silver linings you are seeing in this dark clouds for this overall industry and globe per se? So maybe if you could share some thoughts about that.
Yes, so I think I mean, even though the pandemic has been a huge problem across the whole world, but what we have seen here in India is, as far as the solar industry is concerned, it has given quite a positive impact in terms of the Atmanirbhar Make in India from the PM Modi, and we are seeing a lot of focus happening now that the industry has. I mean, it's like Make in India 2 now. So we are seeing that there's a lot of trust from the ministry, from the industry. They are responding to the ministry's change in mindset. There's a huge thrust being given for manufacturing, as what we see. Not only to increase manufacturing of what we were already producing, but also to go into the backward integration, have the entire supply chain. So we see that this is a great opportunity which has come up for us to learn that we need to be pandemic ready, like what happened this time. Although the industry is in the whole world, the whole business is interdependent, but at least it gives us the idea to work with China, with other countries like Germany, which have got technology, to look at India to be Atmanirbhar. And then this is what we see is a great positive development out of this pandemic, which has come out for the industry.
Great points, Mrs. Saluja. I think what you mentioned, especially in terms of Atmanirbhar, I think over here, I think my thought process goes to the part of government of India's INR 2 trillion COVID stimulus package which has come out. I think what are your policy strategies you wish to see the government promote further Atmanirbharta in our sector, or the self-reliance in our sector, where we see Indian manufacturing coming up in the renewable energy sector?
Yeah. So, I mean, of the interactions which we had with the Honorable Minister and MNRE, we see that they are responding quite well. Constructive discussions are happening, and we have seen in this e-meetings which we have, we are getting actually more focused attention from them, and it's all time bound. We don't need to go and wait at the ministry to meet, so it's very focused. And what we are seeing is the government is considering our requests. What the requests were made by our association was to help in interest subventions to promote the local industry. So, kind of an interest subsidy on our working capital and term loans. We have been requesting for focused funds for technology upgradation, because India really needs, this sector needs technology upgradation to match with what is happening across the world. And then we also, look at, subsidy or like kind of a anti-dumping duty being imposed on dumping from other countries. So the ministry is really responding with all these measures. At the same time, we are also looking at, backward integration to happen, the ministry to come up with promotion for or encouragement to ingot and wafers manufacturing and the entire supply chain. So there is a lot of focus and thrust from the government on this, and they are responding well to us.
Excellent. I think very, very happy to see, at least with this pandemic coming in, I think government has become more responsive to the industry. That's I think is going to be a key driver for us, especially in this renewable energy sector, because we know how dependent we as a sector are on the government policies over here. So I think great points. But if I might say, in the upcoming decade which we are seeing, what would you focus as the key growth drivers for the industry? And what changes will be required, according to you, to drive this industry to its desired position, where we could see this in fact, reaching a particular great level. I think we know the government has come up with this highly ambitious targets of 100 gigawatts and other things. But I think how do you think this industry will move ahead to this desired position? So what are your thoughts on it, Mr.
I mean,
Saluja?
yeah, I mean, I feel the government's targets are quite encouraging. They're looking at a 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. So, I mean, what we need to look at is we have got a fantastic young population. We are all set to be, a manufacturing base for the world, not just for India. What we need to focus on or work on is, undertake major technology upgradation, work on growing the size of the industries here compared to the other market leaders. We are still small. Investment was not coming in, but I see that's a thing of the past now. With the demand visibility created by the Indian government and the kind of push from the government, we see that everybody is talking about huge expansions now. So we were talking about 1.25 gigawatt in this year, but then we want to add another gigawatt next year. And the market leaders in India are all announcing 2 to 3 gigawatt of plants to be set up in India, manufacturing plants. And of course, we need to be technology ready, as I told you. So India can be the base, not only for the local domestic supply, but look at also exports and to the US market, which is a very promising market, and to the neighboring countries. So price is anyway coming down. Solar is getting more and more attractive by the day. It's the cheapest source of energy, and there's a lot of demand, and because of this power being so inexpensive compared to the thermal power plants. So I see that the manufacturing base for modules, which is about 10 gigawatt presently in India, is going to go to 20 gigawatt in the next 2 years. And I see the cell manufacturing going from 2 gigawatt to about 10 gigawatt in the next 2 years. So a 5 times increase. We are very hopeful that somebody with government support, BHEL or any private large business house sets up wafer and ingot and the other supply chain. So I do see a very, very positive impact on this sector, to have an exponential growth in the manufacturing base in India.
No. Interesting. I think what I can gauge from your response that you gave for this last one is that it's the right time to be in India. It's I think that the future looks good. There's the investment of the government in terms of becoming more self-reliant to their policies, and also I think it's a great way because we are also innovating and we are also trying to be a manufacturing base for the world in the future. So we'll start exporting to these multiple countries. So I think that brings me to a different question, especially what could be the key driving innovations and solutions for your company? Because I think we all sustain on innovations, because what we do in day out is a certain level, but I think we always want to innovate and go ahead in the future. So how are your products strategically getting ready to serve the market in the future, Mr. Saluja?
Yes. So, with this new manufacturing line which we are setting up, the good news is that we are technology ready with what, for the first time, I think that in India, we are technology ready to what China is also planning to launch in the next 2 quarters. So we have seen before pandemic and after pandemic, we have seen a very big change in the large Chinese companies, changing the whole format of the solar panels which were being supplied in the entire world. So they moved from a 156 millimeter wafer to a 210 millimeter wafer. I mean, basically large format wafer sizes. With the result, you're getting larger format modules, and this, brings down the cost of your BOS when you set up these power plants. So we at Premier, our new machines which we are installing are going to be, future ready to launch these modules. People in China are now talking about a 600 plus watt module, which was 300 plus watt just a few months ago. So what we are looking at is we are ready for this new product offering. In fact, we will be the first one in India to offer this product. I'm sure everybody is going to catch up in a few months as we progress. But we are technology ready to launch this new product, which is going to, bring down your LCOE in the power plants. We are also launching or working on adding TOPCon technology, which is the next phase after mono-PERC. We are already going to be mono-PERC ready in December this year. But then we are looking at the next phase, which is TOPCon, which increases the efficiency of the module by another 0.2%. So we are investing a lot into technology. and to be parallel to what is being offered across the global solar industry. And I think this is going to be a key driving factor that every industry in India doing solar needs to be very quick to react and launch these kind of products into the market, to be able to offer this to our developers who need not go outside India to get this product if they can get it at reasonable prices in India.
Great. I think that shows that as a company you are continuing with your innovations, and I think that is where it will be. And I think one place where you showcase is innovations as another thing. I think you've been participating in various trade shows, especially our own show, which is Renewable Energy India. I think this is a place where you showcase innovation. So I think I'd like to ask you something where regarding the role of trade expos, how they play in bolstering the renewable energy space. Can you give any instances how maybe an expo like REI has helped you grow your business, bolster your business, or also there could be some biggest obstacles that you have faced, and how that has helped you in the trade expos have helped you in achieving those? Something, share your thoughts on.
So, I mean, we have been a fan of the REI Expo from inception, as I told you. I mean, we really love these expos, and it is one of the largest expo which happens in India as far as the renewable energy sector is concerned. And due to this pandemic, we really missed that expo which used to happen every year in Greater Noida. So, but yes, I mean, we really, I mean, think it's a great initiative by REI to come up with these e-expos, because at least we don't lose the connect with our partners, our customers. The e-expo was, I think, a great show. The second one, which we had in September this month, we saw, you know, a real good visitor turnout to our booth. And I mean, we feel that these expos are really important because you meet industry leaders, you meet your partners, you meet your customers, you see the latest technology, what's happening around you. So these expos are really interesting, and they have been quite successful, as we have seen in the past. We have had visitors from all across the world. So we feel that these should continue, and once the pandemic is over, we should not stop the e-expos, is my personal view, because we need to really keep this going and be prepared for the next pandemic if it ever comes. And I mean, I wish you all the best to keep continuing what you're doing. And the Super September also is a great initiative that, you know, you're keeping all of us busy. And it's a great learning. It's a great learning that things like this are happening in real time. We are able to discuss, share ideas, and grow our business. So I think it's a great thing.
So thanks. I think you picked my next question. I think for me, I think as a company, the biggest tough side for me was because we are a face-to-face company and face-to-face events, and we are probably the ones who will probably be the last in the curve to start because of social distancing and other things. Of course, we'll evolve as a show organizer, where definitely there will be a lot of protocols on health and safety will come in, social distancing and other things will come in. I think it's not going to be happening anytime soon. But if there's any chance of putting up a REI show, we'll definitely want to see if there's any possibility. But of course, our health and safety of our key stakeholders is very important for us. But that's the reason we came and we started this idea of this virtual shows, where we, especially this month of September, where we are doing digital offerings for various industries. And great to hear your views on the relevance for this businesses and conversation. So just maybe picking the point on the virtual shows, because there is something very unique. We as an industry we love physical meeting festivals. I would love to come and meet you personally in Hyderabad. You will come and over the expos. But I think this virtual space has taught us something, and probably it's out of compulsion that we are using it. So do you think this kind of things will persist? How do you think about a Super September initiative, whether this kind of initiatives can be continued in the future, where we can do something for multiple industries in a particular month, so that it brings a lot of mileage across and pushes the growth for the economy in the future? What are your thoughts? And also some thoughts on the hybrid model. So tomorrow when the physical shows start happening, do you, as you did, I think, share a bit where you would say you would want to continue with this e-shows also. So maybe some thoughts whether we'll choose between a physical show or a virtual show, or whether you go for both the shows together. So I just thought of combining all these questions.
I am a strong fan of your hybrid shows because I feel that both should continue. Both have its own value. The physical shows are, of course, a must because there's a huge difference when you meet somebody in person, interact on a cup of coffee at your booth, and I mean these are really required. And I'm sure we're going to get back to this very soon with the pandemic looks like getting over or getting the vaccine in another 3 months. But you should continue the e-shows because we see a lot of value in the e-shows. We see a lot of focused interaction in the e-shows, and these should continue. As you said, it should be a hybrid model where we have the one large expo in New Delhi, which we have once a year, and have maybe at least 2 or 3 e-shows during the entire year. Keeps us more connected, gives us ideas to interact with fellow colleagues in the industry. So and the big difference which I saw even though REI was late, as you said, to start off with the e-shows, what value we saw with REI was that you have this reach across several countries. The quality of visitors we saw in the e-show at the REI show was phenomenal compared to what we see in other webinars what we have, because the kind of audience what you have. And so that was really adds value to interacting with people across 50 countries and over a couple of thousand visitors. So both should continue, because what will happen is once the pandemic is over, you will not be able to reach to as many people in the physical show as you would in the e-show. So both have its own value.
Great points. I think that gives me a bigger confidence to continue with this kind of e-shows, because I think we are trying it, as I said, in the September month in 6 verticals. We have it in pharma, we have it in security, safety, in packaging, and so multiple verticals we are trying in, even in travel. So I think the audiences who are listening this, I think, are all across various verticals. So I think that's really says a lot in your confidence of hybrid models of doing business and doing events. So I think thank you so much for that. But I think coming back, because we still continue to be a face-to-face in this show organizer as our core. So what are the things you'll expect in the future from our trade exhibitions? What will be your expectations? How do we give more to you? I think, and what would you be expecting in the future from us?
Of course, one thing which I really look forward to is I always keep telling Mr. Rajneesh in pharma that you should look at focusing more on even the neighboring countries. I've seen you started an initiative in Sri Lanka. You should look at Bangladesh. You should look at even having the REI show at different countries to look at the Indian partners, like an India showcase story. We also are looking at more participation in forms of the government also to get involved in the REI shows. We have seen that with the ministry getting involved, they also get serious on the sea, because the REI show is really great. It's something which the ministry also should come and have a look, the kind of size and the kind of it's been growing. We started off with Hall 1 at Pragati Maidan, and now we look at Hall 10, 12 at the Greater Noida. So I think that it's doing good, and you should look at expanding this more with the focus on also new technologies coming up. Like at the moment, what you're doing it's solar, wind. You should look at even energy storage, at hydrogen, the fuel cell, and then try to focus those, showcase those technology also at the show.
Thank you. I think they're very valid. In fact, if the show had happened this year, we already had a storage element, and we are launching batteries alongside. Unfortunately, because we couldn't put up a show, we couldn't. But I think very good observations, sir. I think that's some of the things which I want to do. I think coming to your personal side, as a person, I think you would have our audiences would definitely be benefited to hear something about you as a leader. As a leader, what has really helped you? I think this is something which every person looks up to, because you have spent so much time in the industry, built an entire company, and you wear multiple hats. So what are some leadership traits that are, or guidance which you want to give to our audiences over here, which to follow to ensure that a business remains really good and you care about your people, and something which you want to talk about?
Yeah, we have been initially, when we started, a family-owned company, with my grandfather, my father, and me into this. My father started the solar business, and what we have learned is that what really helped us grow the company. One was passion. We were always passionate about what we produce and the kind of how we are giving back to the society. When we started off initially, it was not a very great business when we started solar in 1995. We really didn't have that kind of business at that time. People even didn't know what solar was and how a solar lantern would work. But the happiness which we saw in the eyes of people who used our products and saw electricity for the first time in their life that time. So what we saw is it was not always profit which drove us. It was always the passion towards the business. It was towards the ethics of the business. And also we never treated our employees as employees. They were always a family who worked with us. And we have seen people working with us for for 25 years now who are still with us. So it was more, there were three principles which I had. One was passion, one was ethics, and one was to be responsible, because I don't know if you know, solar panels carry a 25-year warranty when we sell the panels. So I always used to tell my customer that, when I sell my panels and when I produce this in my factory, I always think about the fact that if my son joins my business, he will have to, be responsible for these warranties. So it's a very quality conscious industry, and you need to be as ethical as you can and as passionate as you can to run this business.
Excellent thoughts, Mr. Saluja. I think it's not about just passion; it's about you also having that long-term vision when to carry on that business. When your son joins in, you really are caring for that. I think great thoughts and great. I think these are some of the questions which I had, and thanks for your time today and sharing your thoughts over here. And I'm sure a lot of our audiences who are going to listen to this are definitely going to be benefited with this. And any other things which you have for me, please do share. And thanks again. Thanks for your time. And I look forward to catching up with you soon again. And wish you the best for, again, congratulations on your Silver Jubilee, and wishing you all the best for your all future endeavors to you and Premier Energies. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure. Thank you.